Hello and welcome back to the National League Natter and welcome back to the prediction show. And no, don't worry, you have not missed a review show. We have had a full week's break because last week the FA Cup took the forefront of the league, and a lot of the National League teams were in the FA Cup. Some of us did better than others. Sorry, Chris. Sorry, I know that one hurts. And yeah, but so it was FA Cup weekend last week. We obviously did a preview show for that, me and Lauren. So if you're not listening to that yet, make sure you catch up and listen. It's well worth a listen. But we are back finally on league duty this week, covering the best fifth tier in Europe. I'm gonna say maybe not the world because
Wow. Not the world?
my
Not going that far?
knowledge of fifth tier world football isn't strong enough. So there might be some pretty decent fifth tiers. I never know. But as you can already see, I am joined once again with Lauren. So Lauren, how are you this week? And are you happy to be? Everyone loves the FA Cup, but are you happy to be back on league duty?
Yeah, hey everyone. It feels like a good long while since we've seen each other. But glad to be back. Always glad to be back with you, Aaron, and with the podcast and with the league. Like we say, we always love a little FA Cup moment of magic. But glad to be back in the league. Bring back the nice traditional stuff.
Absolutely, and although the main bulk of the podcast is going to be league action, of course, I think it is only right, considering there's been no content from us in the meantime, to do a little bit of a very, very quick rundown of some of the big results in the FA Cup last weekend and talk as quickly as we possibly can about the absolute car crash of a tournament that is the National League Cup, because there were games in that competition this week as well. So, yeah, shall we get to it, Lauren? Let me just bring up the FA Cup page. Bear with me a second. But actually, I'm going to take the reins. I don't need a screen to tell me the first one. So, I was very excited because last weekend I was able to get myself to Prenton Park to watch Tranmere versus Oldham in the FA Cup, and I said going into that game, even though they were League Two, I said that crowd turns quickly, and they were struggling, and I thought, we're a good side, back us, and we'll get the job done in 90 minutes. You didn't have as much faith in my boys as I did, and you thought we were going to get done in penalties. But oh my word, what a performance! What a performance we displayed. We went 1-0 down with probably one of their only shots on target in the entire game inside 8 minutes. But again, we talk about the resilience of this Oldham squad so far this season, about always finding a response to going down and always coming back. And we did it again, and we did it in such good circumstances. The first goal, I don't know if you've seen the highlights, Loz, but the first goal, I think if that was a League Two, League One club producing that goal, people wouldn't stop speaking about it. So the ball gets cut into Josh Lundstrom. Josh Lundstrom fires it across the box. Sam Clucas, our newest recruit up until this week, backheeled the box on the edge of the box to James Norwood against his former club, who took one touch, skinned his defender, and put it in the bottom corner to send to 2,000. I think it was 2,000 odd, nearly 3,000 Latics supporters in the away end. Absolutely balmy. We're back on level terms, and then from that moment onwards, you could see the sort of psychological effect of the Tranmere players. It just faded away. All the belief faded away, and one thing we say about Oldham this year is they have the hunger and desire to turn games around to the fullest, and that's what we did. And look, it was a little bit lucky, but you have to make your own luck, especially in the FA Cup. Jed Chegburnham came on off the bench, former Rochdale man, a winger, cut inside his man. The ball, he took a shot, it ricocheted off the defender's back, looped over the keeper, and went into the bottom left corner, and that sent us through. And all I can say is that is probably one of my most enjoyable away games in recent memory, especially because I was in, because of where the disabled facilities are at Tranmere. I'm not going to say forced, but their disabled facilities are mixed. They're integrated with the home fans, and you know me. I'm a little bit boisterous. I'm a little bit naughty. I'm a little bit cheeky, and I enjoyed the chance to like wind people up and shit else my way through it a little bit, and like I had a really good time. I don't think the Tranmere disabled supporters would ever want to see me again. I think a few of them wanted to kill me on the way out. But yeah, I had a really good time, and I would like to say we got a glamorous draw off the back of it, but it is a trip to London to face Leighton Orient, League One, the Richie Wellens derby. That's what we got at the back of it. And yes, they are League One, but very, very similar to Tranmere. They are honking the gaff in League One, if I can be honest. They've only won 3 games.
They're having a shocker in League One.
Yeah, they've only won 3 games as well again this season. So I'm not saying I expect to go to Brisbane Road and get the result, but if we can put out a performance like that, I think we've got a chance, especially if we're going extra time and penalties now. But yeah, I wondered first of all, what you thought of that game and any of sort of the coverage that you've seen of that game yourself.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't go watch the game, surprisingly enough. But I was having a look at, some of the vote for your goals of the first round, and the one you described, the first Oldham goal, I've seen quite a few times nominated as one of the best goals of the first round, really. Yeah, I thought that Oldham did a decent job. I mean, I was being a bit cheeky when I said that they'd struggle on lose on pens, but also I feel like it wasn't a bad guess. Well, not guess, prediction. Sorry. A bit more professional than a guess. But yeah, I mean they're in great form, so it's not that much of a surprise really. And I thought that they played some pretty good football.
Yeah, absolutely.
As much as I hate to compliment them too much.
And the thing is as well, like, I think it's always a weird one when you have the belief and like the opposition manager before the game is coming and saying whether we like it or not, in our current form, a National League side is the favourites to win the game. So people might look at that and think it was a cup upset, but there was a lot of people within Oldham and the fan base and the staff that probably expected us to go there and do the job. So we did it perfectly and we did what we asked of ourselves, but I don't think it was any real big shock. And that's not me trying to be arrogant. It's just when Tranmere are going through the period that they're going through, that's when you have to take your chances and be ruthless, and we did that. There's not much more that I want to spend time on talking about the FA Cup, but the one little sly sort of dig I'm going to take my chance is the Rochdale Bromley game. Now I don't know whether you've seen this game, Lauren, but Christ alive, where do I start? So Rochdale were playing Bromley, League 2 opposition, at home at the Crown Royal Arena. And talk about a slow start. Rochdale were 2-0 down in 3 minutes. And I was looking at this and I'm thinking, oh my God, they're going to get whitewashed. Like, what is going on? But in typical Rochdale fashion, they showed a lot of character and a lot of determination to pull themselves back to 2-2 and then actually take the lead with 10 minutes to go. Thank you to the FA Cup GOAT and the Rochdale greatest of all time, Ian Henderson. Still scoring goals, by the way, at his age is incredible. And they go 3-2 up with 10 minutes to go, and you're thinking, oh my God, they're through, congratulations, well done. But no, Warren, no. They collapsed once again, in 90 minutes additional time. They conceded 2 goals to go from 3-2 up to 4-3 down, conceding 2 goals in 5 minutes in additional time. And look, I seen quite a lot of angry reactions to this result from Rochdale fans, quite rightly so. I see a lot of them telling Jim McNulty to sort of change his play style a little bit, because I watched the highlights, and the first 2 goals especially, it's the age-old sort of problem that leagues it's a Pep Guardiola effect in terms of teams in any league now think they're capable of passing it around the back, and sometimes you're not. Sometimes you just got to boot it long and know what you are. And that's the problem that I think
Yep.
Rochdale have sometimes, and they just got caught out with the passing from the back a good few times against Bromley and got punished for it. But look, I think it's a really good season still for Rochdale. I know they're having a little bit of a slump recently, but a very, very disappointing result. I can get the frustrations of the fans, but I think you would rather lose in the first round of the FA Cup than lose any further momentum in the league.
Yeah, and I think it does show the sort of character and determination that Rochdale were able to come back from 2-0 down so early on. And I think even though they went on to lose the game, I think that, and that is disappointing. You're going to be disappointed getting out in the first round, don't get me wrong. But I think that you can take some things from the game, and the fact that after some slightly silly mistakes, they were willing to get back in and really fight for it. I think that you've got to be proud of your team for that, even if the final score didn't go your way.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only thing I would say that to balance that, to have two collapses at either end of the game is a worry. If I was Jim McNulty, I could more or less forgive the first collapse, because we pulled ourselves out of it. But then to get yourselves into such a strong position and just seem to mentally collapse again so close to the end is a worry. But look, I think we apologise to the other National League sides that have big results this weekend, last weekend, including the likes of Wealdstone, Solihull Moors. But we don't want to turn this into just a purely another FA Cup review. Sorry, so they were just some of the ones that stuck out to me most, really. But before we finally get onto this weekend's action, we have to talk about it, unfortunately, because it's got our branding on it. But I'm going to keep this very, very, very simple as I can do. The National League Cup. Now, the more and more games we get of this competition, I genuinely see no fans of any National League side that wants to be in this competition. And we played last night. It was the return of Josh Stones. I don't know whether you know, but we signed Josh Stones. It was the return of Josh Stones in an Oldham shirt, and it took him 19 minutes to get his first goal back in an Oldham shirt. We drew the game 2-2 in the end with with Wolves under 21 side, but we had pretty much our youth team out in the second half anyway, and then they got the extra point on the penalty shootout. But to show you how much interest there was in that game, there was 502 people at Boundary Park last night. 502 for a nearly 13,500 seat stadium. That is mad, isn't it? So that's as much as I really want to talk about that competition.
Yeah,
it was a draw, low crowd. I don't really know what else you want me to say. So now let's get to what we're here for, and I will give us a full rundown of this weekend's fixtures, top to bottom, and then we can get cracking, Lauren?
Let's do it.
So, kicking us off, we actually have 2 half-floor kickoffs on Saturday, which I've never really seen that happen before, if I'm being honest. You normally have the half-12 that's a TV game, don't you? And then the half-5 that's a TV game. But to have 2 halves is quite unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that.
But them 2 half-12s are Aldershot versus Wealdstone and York City versus Hartlepool. Then the 3 o'clocks are as follows. You've got Boston United versus Dagenham and Redbridge, Eastleigh versus Braintree Town, Fylde versus Gateshead, Halifax Town versus Woking, Maidenhead United versus Forest Green Rovers, Rochdale versus Sutton, Solihull Moors versus Altrincham, Southend United versus Yeovil Town, Tamworth versus Ebbsfleet, and then something that really is making me sweat a little bit and is making me sweat for the potential future connections of the hosts of this podcast. In the half-5, it is Barnet versus Oldham Athletic on DAZN extra coverage. So if I'm looking, I will start, Lauren. So if I'm looking at these fixtures, the ones that are kind of sticking out to me straight away are York, Hartlepool in the Hartlepool, just because York are top and flying at the minute, and Hartlepool are kind of continuing the struggle a little bit. I mean, they are unbeaten in 4, Hartlepool, 2 wins and 2 draws in the last 4 games, so maybe it could be a tricky game. They are starting to elevate themselves a little bit, but I still expect them to be doing more, really, Hartlepool. But that is one that sticks out to me. Another one is probably, I would be interested in Rochdale's response, actually, if I'm being honest. Rochdale versus Sutton, and again, 2 teams that probably have high ambitions this year. Obviously, Rochdale is still in the playoffs, but Sutton are quite a way away at the minute. So that's an interesting one for me. You've got, what else do we have? Boston are almost at like crisis point at this point, really. 5 points adrift. They've not won in 6. We talk about Ebbsfleet being at crisis point every weekend, but Boston are not too far away from joining them, and I think they're in the territory where they need to pick up wins sooner rather than later, or them 2 bottom sides could be making history for the wrong reasons and potentially being the 2 quickest sides to get relegated from a division. So yeah, that's another one that sticks out to me. And then the final one of my 4, I think you've got in this one, you have Fylde versus Gateshead, two good footballing sides, and 2 sides that have midfield maestros, midfield playmakers. It's kind of Nick Horton versus Regan Booty, isn't it? Who's going to come out on top there? I think that's one that sticks out for me. Do you agree with them selections? What are some others that you're picking out, Oz?
Yeah, no, I would agree with a lot of those. I think that and all of your reasoning is sound as always, Aaron. Sound as always.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think that the Barnet Oldham one will be interesting. I do think at the moment there's a lot of games up at the top that is defining, because there's a strong couple of teams up at the top, really. There's only 5 points separating 5th from 1st.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. It's so close. And really seriously good form. So I think that there's a couple of games really that at the moment just I think
it's incredible, really, when we talked about it off camera and you can believe it. But Barnet haven't drawn a game yet this year.
It's ridiculous.
Oldham have only lost 2 games in 21 across all competitions this season. York have lost once, but only conceded a handful of goals. You know what I mean? So someone's going to give somewhere. Someone's going to lose something or gain something from somewhere. And I think it's making sort of nice reading, really, for the neutrals, especially because for the last couple of years, we've had the riches of, Notts County and Wrexham battling out, and nobody else could really get near them. You had Chesterfield, albeit last year, stumble into the way towards the title, but dominating that far in advance that they had no challenges. So this year, it's probably the first time in a long time where we've had maybe 3, 4, 5 teams at this point that you could make a seriously strong argument for potential championship material.
Yeah, 100%. I think Chesterfield last season were just so clear. It was ridiculous. I know that right towards the end, they started to flunk it a little bit, but they were just so clear. It was so obvious they were going to win the league. It's really nice having a bit more of competition. But yeah, so I think that, yeah, like you say, the York game, the Barnet Oldham game, the Maidenhead Forest Green, you'd expect Forest Green to win that game, to be honest. I think that's less of an interesting tie, but it's still interesting with its repercussions, I think. If Maidenhead managed to bring out a bit of a...
I think as well, if you want to look at that sort of bottom, maybe 6, 7 right now as well. And this isn't me trying to be disrespectful, but I'm looking at this right now, and you've got Ebbsfleet on 7, 6 points adrift. and a horrible goal difference. You've got Boston 5 points adrift and a horrible goal difference. So, without counting my chickens too far, I get paid to make controversial decisions and have opinions. I'm gonna say that I think there's maybe 4 teams at that bottom half battling for 2 relegation spots, because I think the bottom 2 are already gone. I'm gonna put my neck on the line there, because the thing is, people can say, "Oh, there's so much football to be played here," but we're looking at an Ebbsfleet side that don't ever seem to improve. Like, we always say week in, week out, it's got to change for them, but it just doesn't. It doesn't look like they've just got the quality or the fire or the whatever it is, the desire, the quality.
Yeah.
And I think that's a real big worry, to be 7 points adrift at this point. Before, the only thing that could save them is it's before Christmas. There's always teams that start either pulling the weight or, charging to the top end of the title or charging to get out of the relegations or from Christmas to the end of the season. That's the only thing that could save them 2 sides. But I think they comfortably are obviously the 2 weakest sides in this division at the minute, and probably all season. So I don't know whether you agree with that sentiment or.
Yeah, I mean, all you have to do is look at the form of the last 6 games. Like, I know form isn't everything, but it's big. And Boston losing 5 and then drawing their last 1, and Ebbsfleet, like, in the last 6, drawing 2 and losing 4. It's kind of like they really need anything. Like, you can't get out of that position from draws. And if you
And
haven't had like a single win,
they've got 3 wins combined, and the closest
between the 2 teams.
The closest team between, like, next to them in the relegation spots is a team that we have previously worried about. But even Wealdstone they've drawn a couple of games at least. Absolutely only drawn 4 games and won 1. They've lost 11 games, and it's just a real big worry. And I think even for, like, Wealdstone and Braintree, obviously they're occupying the other 2 at the minute, but Braintree, we've said that have impressed us at various points this season and maybe come at the wrong end of the, certain results. Wealdstone are starting to find a little bit of, I'm saying it very loosely, a little bit of form.
I think
now, as much as it pains me, like we've had this discussion last week, but Wealdstone fans would argue that currently probably they have one of the more informed strikers in the league. Without the loan signing of Alex Reid, he can't seem to stop scoring for them at the minute, Reedy, which, as an Oldham fan, really, really disappoints me, because where the hell was this for us? You wouldn't be in this position if you could pull that off for us. But he's doing his job. You can't argue for more than that. So yeah, they've got a striker. They're scoring goals, and I think if you were to, I might try and be brave here. I'm going to call the bottom 4 now. Actually, I'm going to call it right now.
Oof.
So Ebbsfleet and Boston are down. I just don't. Them 2 could rotate with the bottom 2. So I could make an argument. What I'm trying to say is I could make an argument for Boston to finish bottom, but I could also make an argument for Ebbsfleet to finish bottom. So I'm just going to say them 2 are down. I actually think the Nick Horton charm will run out on Fylde this season, and I think Fylde will swap out with Wealdstone, and then I think Braintree will go as well. So my bottom 4 teams to go would be Ebbsfleet, Boston, Fylde, and Braintree.
Fair enough. I think, the Fylde. I just feel at the moment Fylde is a one-man team. And I think, like, if he gets injured, if Nick Horton gets injured, I think they're in, like, serious trouble.
Yeah.
As hard as it is to say, but plenty of season left for teams to claw their way out of the relegation zone.
Yes,
you never know. We might see a complete different bottom 4. I doubt it, but we might.
I mean, this has happened to us before, hasn't it? Where we said something quite outlandish on this podcast, and like a few weeks later, we're like, "Oh my god, what are we talking about?" Yeah. So you never know. You never know. But you know what? It is the 7th of November. It's nearly that time of year where you give a little bit of cheer out, and I'm feeling happy today. I'm feeling nice. So I am more than happy for you to take a look at the fixture list, and you can pick out your own game of the week.
How sweet. How sweet. But my game of the week, like Loz's game of the week or tie of the round?
Your game of the week.
My
Because
game of the week.
I don't want to be
Okay.
biased, but in my head, there's only one tie of the round this week.
The way you're saying I don't want to be biased, I have a slight suspicion I know which game that is. In which case, I won't choose that as my game of the week. I am going to give myself. What am I going to give myself? Maybe I'll give myself the York game. You know, I like seeing them flying high at the moment. So maybe I'm going to give myself the York Hartlepool 12:30 kickoff game as Loz's game of the week.
Let's do it. Let's do it. And just so for a bit more context, I think we're both in agreement, aren't we? Probably. And yes, I'm an Oldham fan, but like I genuinely don't see a bigger fixture on the list this weekend than Barnet versus Oldham. There's a reason it's been picked for TV coverage. You know, like it's a big game, and it's the start of a big run for this Oldham side that people are starting to believe in now and starting to sort of ask questions of, can we go and win that title? And I think the next sort of 4 or 5 games will sort of determine that, really. I'm just having a look at our next run of games. So if we look now, we've got Barnet away on Saturday, then we've got Tamworth at home, then we've got Rochdale away, then not long after that we have an away trip to York City, and that is the sort of run that, you know, can define title challenges, really. And I think if we look as strong as we have been doing so far this season after them 3 games, I'm not one to ever let myself get. I'll do it on the podcast and to the work group chats because I like having the banter, but I've been hurt too many times by Oldham Athletic. I can never actually truly believe in, like, you know, it's going to be our season until it starts happening. So if we can pick up, you know, 6 points from them 9 available in them games coming up, I will start believing. And I think that's how big this start of this run is for us. And for Barnet as well, I mean, like, Chris will probably tell us more on the review one way or another on Monday, but you know, Barnet have been up and around it all season, but they've already lost 5 games. You know, it's sort of kind of, you can't really afford to lose any more than 5 really and be a title winning team. You know, that, like, do you know what I mean? So there's a lot to be played for in the next couple of weeks. I think York have got some pretty tricky games coming up as well. So a lot might be decided in the next sort of run up to Christmas and January, I think. But yeah, so are we happy to go with Oldham versus Barnet as tie of the round? Yeah,
I would agree that Barnet versus Oldham, I think, has the biggest repercussions in the tie of this, you know, this game week, and it could be an exciting one, really.
And I don't want to jinx it, but I'm going to jinx it anyway. Oldham are going for 4 on the trot against Barnet in terms of if we beat them on Saturday, we've won the last 4 fixtures that we've played against them. So yeah, big game. Unfortunately, I'm not going myself, and I know Chris can't go either. I don't think, which is quite peculiar, but I'm sure we'll be both watching it on the telly box without a doubt. So with that sort of ahead of ourselves, before we do predictions and whatever else we want to do this week, I just kind of want to lower the tone a little bit and speak about an experience I've had today. So in a couple of weeks, as we just spoke about, Oldham are going to local rivals Rochdale for a league game, and the tickets went on sale today for season ticket holders for that game, and it became very clear that for whatever reason, Rochdale didn't send any of their disabled tickets for that game over across to Oldham, which meant the only way disabled fans can pick up tickets for that game is, number one, either ring up the ticket office in advance, and even then sometimes it takes them a while to get posted out. Or two, your best option is going to Rochdale's ticket office and getting the tickets that way. And like, the problem you have with something like that is not every Oldham fan lives in Oldham or lives near Rochdale. You know, that's a big trek to ask to go and do that. And I actually rang up Rochdale today for some clarification, and they said because they only have 8 tickets, they just sell their tickets, which to me is poor, if I'm being honest, because like, whether you have 50 disabled tickets or eight disabled tickets, the fact that my friends that are able-bodied supporting Oldham Athletic fans can go into their club shop, get a ticket from their club shop without having to do any further travel, but yet I have to go to another ground to get my tickets for my team. That is, I don't want to throw the word discriminatory, but it is a little bit discriminatory without even probably meaning to be discriminatory, because I don't have the same route and the same ease of being able to buy tickets. And I think that's a problem sort of league wide, really. I'm not saying it's just a Rochdale problem, but and yeah, it's just really sort of disappointing, the fact that, like, you know, it's not the easiest thing in the world getting football tickets anyway, and trying to be disabled and get tickets. It just shows the sort of the juxtaposition in an able-bodied supporters sort of lengths that they have to go to attend games, and disabled supporters games. And the reason why I'm bringing this up on the podcast is, like, it's just for awareness, because it's not, like I said, it's not just Rochdale. This sort of thing happens to me regular, and happens to other disabled people regular. I just think we're now in 2024, and we're making so much, positive steps for all different things. There's so much more for, like, wheelchair access, disabled access, whatever you want. But the fact that it's so hard to get tickets for a football game in 2024 if you're a disabled supporter is something we need to work on more as a football collective, isn't it, Lauren?
Yeah, 100%. I just think that it's so, like, I don't live anywhere near my club, and if I wanted a ticket, like, thinking about me as an able-bodied person having to trek to get a ticket from somewhere that's, not by me is like, and I have easier access to it. I think that it's just, I don't think it's right. I think that something should have been done.
And the thing is, I wouldn't have an issue if Rochdale had the policy where away supporters have to go to Rochdale's ticket office to pick up tickets, whether you're able-bodied or disabled. But the fact that the tickets went on general sale, season ticket sale this morning, and there was a queue at the club shop, and people were coming out of our club shop at Oldham with tickets. But yeah, if you're disabled, your only options are to phone and get them posted or go to the ticket office. Like, why don't I have the same options as you? I just don't understand it, and it's something that I want to highlight and something that needs work. So yeah, but that is hopefully people pay attention, and the right people listen to this and pick this up, and we can help create positive change. But let's pick the mood back up, Lauren. I think it is almost time for the favorite time of the podcast, our favorite time of the podcast. Do you want to give us a quick rundown of last week's special FA Cup predictions league?
Yeah, so if you didn't listen to our last show that we've done, I think on this entire National League Natter, Aaron and I ran through the 15 fixtures in the FA Cup that included a National League side, and we placed our predictions, didn't we, on how each one of those games went. Now, there's 15 fixtures, so I'm not going to run through the individual predictions that we did. So if you fancy, finding out what they were, have a listen back to the podcast, have a little, have a listen to our beautiful dulcet tones for another hour. Oh, it was a bit shorter, another 40 minutes. But what I can say, I need to stop smiling. I always smile when I do this. Is I've managed to, so if you don't know, we already have a prediction league set up from the beginning of the season. And Aaron, you've been slightly dominating the
Just slightly, yeah.
the league a little bit.
Just slightly.
I'm being nice. I'm being nice. So before the FA Cup predictions, I was on 87 points, whilst Aaron was on 115. So just slightly dominating. But we came to the decision together that our FA Cup predictions would in fact add on to our cumulative scores already. And I ended up winning this week. So even though you made a joke about my horrific football skills when my Wi-Fi broke last week, Aaron, don't think I forgot. I managed to come out on top this week.
It makes a change for not being a loser for 1 week here. The 1 week of glory you're gonna get. So make the most of it. I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you.
Wow, thank you. So I ended up getting 16. I ended up getting 16 points this week, and Aaron got just 10. So not too bad. And to be fair, that's probably more points this week than we've got in any of the other weeks.
Yeah,
we've been having a bit of a shocker this season, haven't we?
Crazy. Maybe we should just stick to one-off cup predictions.
Yeah, I mean the last week we got 5 and 12. So 16 and 10 is not too bad. But that means our cumulative score is 103 for me versus 125 for you. So I've managed to get the deficit down to just 22. So the gap is closing. But last time I said that, it ended up growing again. So touch wood.
I would say I'm getting a bit uncomfortable, but I don't think uncomfortable is the right word. But at certain points of this season, I've nearly been the best part of 30, maybe 35 points ahead at certain weeks. And now, like, the gap is closing, like, because I've been giving it the Billy big balls, shall we say, for MSN purposes. Please don't come for us. About this tattoo and about what I'm gonna put on you and this and that, and it's not done yet, is it? We're not even at Christmas. Maybe I just need to calm down a little bit. Maybe
you're jinxing it. Maybe I'm like, slow and steady. I'm creeping up there.
With that being said, can I go first this week and try and?
You want to go first this week? Of course you can.
Try and put the foundations in for a successful week. So Aldershot versus Wealdstone. You know what? I'm going to be a scumbag. I'm going to start with a draw.
Oh,
1-1.
On the fence from the beginning.
On the fence from the off. Is it on the fence? Is it on the fence or is it tactical? That is for you to decide.
Oh, I see.
York versus Hartlepool. 3-1 to York City, unfortunately. Boston versus Dagenham and Redbridge. 2-1 to Daggers.
2-1 to Daggers.
Eastleigh versus Braintree. Braintree put up a good fight, but it's not good enough. And I'm going to say 2-1 to Eastleigh.
Nice.
Gateshead comfortable 2-0 away win.
2-0 to Gateshead. Nice.
Yeah. Halifax and Woking 1-1 draw.
Oof, another one.
Maidenhead versus Forest Green. 3-1 to the Vegans.
3-1 to the Vegans.
Rochdale Sutton. It's a difficult one. I am going. I've just called them out on the podcast, and now I'm going to have to tell them that I think they're going to win. Oh, it's not great.
Look, that's just showing that you've got no bias. That you're just
that's it.
You're a good pundit. Well, not pundit, but you do a good job. You do a good job.
Thank you. So I'm going to go for 3-1 to Rochdale.
3-1 Rochdale. There's lots of 3-1s in this prediction set.
I fancy the goals this weekend.
Oh, I see.
Solihull Moors, Alty, Solihull on a good run. 1-0 Solihull Moors.
1-0 Solihull.
Southend versus Yeovil. You know what? I'm going to back Yeovil. I'm going to say 2-0 to Yeovil. Jesus, that's brave.
Yeah.
Tamworth, Ebbsfleet. 2-1 Tamworth.
2-1 Tamworth.
And Barnet, Oldham. I think it could be a cracker. I think it could be a real big entertaining game for the neutral. And obviously, I'm going to back on Oldham when it's just what do I want to say? So I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to say Barnet 2, Oldham 3.
Barnet 2, Oldham 3. Big. You really do fancy your goals this week.
Yeah, I fancy it.
No, let's see. Okay, so you've got yours down. I'll predict mine, and then I'll do a nice big run through.
Nice.
All right, this is where you watch me try and justify my predictions. You know what? I always back Aldershot, but they've not been backing me up. You know, they've not been backing me up, and I'm salty from that. I think that Reedy has found his place at Wealdstone, and he's really kicking on nicely. So I think Wealdstone are going to win this game.
It does make us sound a little bit hypocritical that we both agree on that, though. And when the last podcast we did, we were both questioning his attitude.
But you know what? I said last week's podcast, you know, as much as we've said this about Reedy, I bet you this week he scores, and then what does he do?
Yeah.
He goes ahead and scores. So maybe I'll do, you know, two things can be true at the same time. We can not like him for our club and still think that he is fitting in very well in his new club.
Yes,
I think
you're right.
That's not being hypocritical. That's finding play styles and teams that work for you.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So I'm going to say Wealdstone are going to win this. They're going to win it 2-1, but they're going to take the away win there. York versus Hartlepool. I'm going to say, yeah, I think York's going to win as well, but I'm going to give them a 2-1 win there. Boston Daggers. I mean, we've just been saying that Boston are having a bit of a shocker at the moment, and 5 losses and a draw. I can't see them winning now, which of course means they're going to win. But I'm going to back my Daggers, and I'm going to go 2-0 to the Daggers. Eastleigh, Braintree. I do apologise. I'm going to say that's going to be a draw. I'm gonna throw out a draw there. Eastleigh's in pretty poor form actually. So yeah, I'm gonna go for a draw. I'm gonna say that's gonna be a 1-1 draw. That one.
Yes.
Fylde, Gateshead. Also think Gateshead's gonna win. I'm gonna give them. Well, I don't want to say 2-0 like you, but 3-0 seems a bit excessive. So maybe just a 1-0.
She's bottled it. She don't believe in her own predictions, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow. Well, you know, if they come and win 3-0 now, you know, I'm just giving them good luck for the week. Halifax, Woking. I'm gonna give Halifax the win here. Yeah. If sounds a bit cruel, but Cambridge beat Woking in the FA Cup, and I can't see Woking's fortune looking up anymore. So I'm going to give Halifax just a 1-0 win there. I'm obviously less keen on goals this week, I guess. Maidenhead, Forest Green. I think Forest Green are going to win. They gave Stockport a really good run for their money, much to my disappointment. And I think that they're going to continue their great form. So I'm going to give them a...
I mean, completely unrelated to National League, but I'm going to take the chance to swipe at Lorna in a second. It seems like everyone can give Stockport a good run for the money at the minute.
Wow. Like, we're not that bad. What are we, 10? Something like that.
5-0, you know.
Yeah.
5-0. For those not aware what I'm referencing, they played a league game. Was it on Tuesday night? Was it Tuesday night?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, firework night.
Yeah, there was definitely fireworks. It was an explosive scoreline, and yeah, you're rubbish at it, really.
Well, my phone had died. I was out with my friends, and I went, because I'd seen that we'd just conceded a penalty, and then my phone died, and I was like, right, can you check the Stockport score, and if they were losing more than 1-0, don't tell me. And they just gave me a hug, and I was like, oh god. Yeah, because we were 5-0 down. But hey, you know, that's a different league. That's League One, that is. Forest Green are going to beat Maidenhead. They're going to win 2-1. I'm being so boring with these results. They're all 1-2 or none.
Snooze fest.
Yeah. Rochdale versus Sutton. I also think Rochdale are going to win. We're going very similar ways.
Well. I'm joking.
Wow. Brutal. I'm going to say just a 1-0 there. Well, I'm not really not liking the goals this week. The Solihull Alti, I'm going to say, first of all, I didn't realise Solihull were on -2 goal difference in 8th. That's a bit of a shocker, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
I think that this is going to be, I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw, you know. I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. It's going to be a fun draw. There's going to be a draw.
Nice.
Southend Yeovil, I'm also going to give Yeovil a win. Southend, am I? I do this every week. There's always one that I go, am I? Yeah, I'm going to give Yeovil a win. It's going to be 1-0 to Yeovil. Tamworth, Ebbsfleet. Tamworth are going to smash Ebbsfleet, but not properly. It's not going to be that much. Tamworth beating...
I love it when you go second on predictions, me, because I get to see the pain and anguish in your head trying to work everything out. And
I just, I have the cogs turning. At least I'm very expressive with my face as I'm thinking. The tongue comes out. It's a proper thinking face. Tamworth's gonna win. I'm leant over this like it's some sort of exam. Yeah, Tamworth's gonna win. They're gonna go 2-0. And Barnet Oldham. You know what? Just to make it interesting, I'm gonna say Barnet's gonna win. They're gonna win.
You fucking hate me, don't you? You hate.
Sorry.
Anytime you have to be nice to Oldham, you hate it.
Sorry, at this point, I would like to, remember back to the start of the podcast where I was like, Oldham's doing really well. They've got some good form behind them. They played a really good game in the FA Cup. I was being very complimentary.
You know what, though? I've said this for multiple weeks now. Nobody is giving us the credit we deserve at this point. And normally I would be annoyed at that. But I like the fact we're going under the radar, because when we eventually win the league title, we can all be like, I told you so. I believed in it from the very start, So, yeah, you're all going to be shocked, I'm telling you.
Well, it's not necessarily, I'm also trying to just get a good... If I go for Oldham winning, that's pretty much every result going the same way this week.
So you can't claw back the gap?
Well, if you extend your lead because Oldham win, I think that's that's deserved. That's quite sweet.
That's fair.
So enough. I'm gonna give Barnet a 2-1 win, and that's our predictions for this game week.
Amazing. So go on, Loz. Top to bottom, side to side. Let's
top to bottom. Okay. In the Aldershot versus Wealdstone game, I have gone for a 2-1 away win to Wealdstone, and you've gone for a 1-1 draw. Boston versus Daggers, we've both gone for a Daggers win. I've gone 2-0, you've gone 2-1. Eastleigh versus Braintree, I've gone for a 1-1 draw there. You've gone for Eastleigh to beat Braintree 2-1. For the Fylde Gateshead, we really do seem to be back in the away sides here. We've both gone for a Gateshead win. I've gone 1-0, you've gone 2-0. Halifax Woking, I've gone for a Halifax win 1-0, you've gone for a 1-1 draw. Maidenhead versus Forest Green, I've gone for a 2-1 win to Forest Green, you've gone for a 3-1 win to Forest Green. Rochdale versus Sutton, I've gone 1-0, you've gone 3-1, both to Rochdale there. Solihull versus Altrincham, I've gone for a 2-2 draw, you've gone for 1-0. Southend versus Yeovil, both gone for a Yeovil win. I've gone 1-0, you've gone 2-0. Tamworth versus Ebbsfleet, I've gone for a 2-0 win to Tamworth, you've gone for a 2-1 win to Tamworth. And finally, in the Barnet Oldham game, I've gone 2-1 to Barnet, you've gone 3-2 to Oldham.
I always knew your loyalties and your preference lied with Chris anyway when it comes to this podcast, and that just proves it. You've stuck the knife in my chest there and just twisted it, and Chris will be listening to this with a massive grin on his face now.
Well, I've got to back my other sort of co-host.
It's disgusting behaviour. But
well,
yeah,
I'm sorry to disappoint.
It won't be the first time.
Brutal.
Anyway,
on that note,
back to the podcast. She's gonna kill me when I get off of this podcast, by the way. Back to the podcast. That rounds us off very nicely on the matchday 17 matchday 17, Lauren, already. I can remember sitting here doing the preview, the first opening day preview show, talking about the new DAZN deal, and we're already 17 games in it. It's crazy, isn't it?
It is crazy. It's gone so fast. Fast.
But me and Chris will be finally back together after what seems like a hiatus that has lasted forever on Monday. Well, one of us might be, the other one might just not decide to turn up, depending on how Oldham Barnet ends up. So you might be seeing Lauren. If Barnet absolutely tonkers, then I'm going to draft Lauren in my place. But if we tonk Barnet, then I hope Chris follows through and shows up. But that's for you to find out, I guess. But until then, we will see you on Monday. And we have been the National League. This has been your Matchday 17 preview. And we shall see you soon.
Yeah, bye, everyone.